It's again hurricane season. I'd like to also thank you for coming down within days after Harvey hit Houston to help us on the ground recover with our telecommunication systems. I'm hopeful this year is not like that last year. Harvey, Irma, Marie, fires. We have to make sure we're prepared. Can you update us on what the FCC has done to prepare for hurricanes and other disasters this year?
Thanks so much for the question, Congressman, and thank you and the folks in your district for hosting me when I was in Houston after Hurricane Harvey. We're doing a number of things to make sure that our networks are as resilient as possible and that restoration is as quick as possible. In terms of funding, we've extended funding to make sure in Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands, for instance, that we can restore those networks as quickly as possible. And we've also extended a number of different waivers and streamlining orders to make sure that carriers can focus on rebuilding networks instead of paperwork to the FCC. Additionally, we've engaged in a number of different experiments, for example, granting an experimental license to Google to use Project Loon to beam internet access from balloons. In a situation like that, we don't care what technology is used to get people back on the grid. We want them to get back on. Additionally, we've been working to make sure that our wireless emergency system is much more resilient. I'm happy talking about some of the different steps there, but the bottom line is we are making sure that these alerts are more targeted, are more informational, and the consumers don't tune them out. An additional one that is specific to you that I thought I would mention, because a lot of people don't think about this, some 33 trillion gallons of water were dumped in your part of Texas in the wake of Hurricane Harvey. That had a huge impact on those parts of the area that only had copper lines in the ground. Copper it degrades when it is under severe water pressure, and if it's exposed to water, it is utterly useless. And those areas of Houston that had fiber were much more resilient. Either the cell towers didn't go down or the networks stayed up altogether. And so I think that's important when we talk about some of our copper retirement rules and other nitty-gritty wireline reforms that we've got, is that there's a huge public safety benefit to doing this, NG 911 and the rest. I think it's very important to keep that in mind. All of these issues that we've been talking about previously have a public safety dimension that I think we should all recognize.
Yeah, remind me to thank you for all those emergency messages came over, warning tornado, warning floods, warning, swamp the whole system. With your work, it's targeted now to where it actually is, as opposed to hitting a whole county, it's hitting a city. And that's a big deal because we were bombed. We got spammed by all these, it just became nothing after days of these budgets going off. So thank you for acting quickly to make that happen. Commissioner Carr, you've been leading the FCC in finding new ways to reduce government red tape. And you know that slows 5G deployment. Verizon has just announced it plans to launch 5G in Houston, Texas later this year. Can you tell me how your work will help expedite this rollout quickly in Houston?
Thanks very much, Congressman, for the question. I'm glad to see that Houston is going to be on the leading edge of getting 5G. That's something that we want to replicate across the country. So we have a number of reforms that we've already taken that's going to reduce the cost of deployment. That's going to make a big difference, particularly in costly, difficult to serve areas. We have a number of ideas that we're continuing to look at the Commission. I also wanted to follow up on your earlier question. I was also in Houston at the Harris County 911 Center and saw the great work that they were able to do there in response to Hurricane Harvey.